Real quick, I want to mention that I set up a second channel where I'm going to be posting tests of the i5-1235U. So if you want to actually see how that performs in games, click the link that you see right now. Go sub to the second channel so that you can actually see how it compares to the Ryzen 5 5500U and the 5600U. We're taking a look at Monster Hunter Rise running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. Now the game is currently running at 1080p with the lowest in-game graphics settings, but with the render resolution set to 100%. At the stock TDP, the level of performance that we were getting was actually very impressive, especially compared to Monster Hunter World. This game really seems to perform significantly better, and it doesn't need to use anything like the CAS upscaling or anything to try to squeeze out any more performance. Really, I was very happy to see how this was performing at just these stock settings, but that did mean that if we were to raise the TDP, we might actually be able to squeeze out a good bit of performance. Now, one more thing that I need to note here is the fact that we also are not really utilizing that much RAM. We're actually at good levels here, and that pretty much means that we're not going to be running into any limitations with the 16 gigabytes of RAM. But if you only have 8, then you could run into some serious problems here. But taking a look at how it runs with the 25 watt TDP, you can see a nice uplift in both the 1% lows and the averages, where we're very much at a 60 FPS average for the most part here, where we're just slightly underneath that. The 1% lows are close enough to 50 that the overall experience right here is really good. This felt incredible to play. And if we compare this to how it was running with Monster Hunter World, this is just leagues better. This is just an incredible overall experience. And I guess it makes sense since this game was kind of also designed to come out on the Switch, but it really does perform incredibly well on this system. And visually speaking, I think that graphically it really holds up. Even at these lower settings, it still visually looks very appealing. And the level of performance that we're getting here is pretty much just going to be perfectly acceptable for pretty much anyone out there. I don't think most people are going to really be complaining about this. And when we look at the temperatures that we're reaching here, they're not even that high, honestly. We've reached some pretty high temperatures before at the 25 watt TDP, but here it really doesn't seem to be stressing out the CPU enough to really start to push those temperatures. So overall, the experience that we get here is very solid while not really getting into any dangerous temperatures. So this is one of those situations where I think you really need to just test it out and see how it works for you. If you're not reaching any dangerous temperatures, then this is going to provide you a really solid gaming experience. Now, taking a look at how it runs with the performance preset, which sets the TDP to 30 watts, we run into some pretty incredible levels of performance at this point, where our 1% lows are at 50 and our averages are at 60, which means we're having a super smooth experience here. Now, if we take a look at the temperatures, they're pretty solid considering how much wattage we're pushing through here. And if you had a system that can actually handle these TDPs without getting into dangerous levels of temperature, then you can have a pretty solid experience like this. But personally, I would not run the chip like this on this system. It's really just pushing too much heat, and already at the 25 watt TDP, you're going to have a very solid experience without getting into dangerous temperatures. Really, this game is an overall winner. No matter what setting you actually end up going with, whether it's the stock setting, the balance preset, or performance preset, you're going to have a really solid experience in this game and at the 1080p resolution. And really, I'm just happy to see a game like this actually perform this well. I was never really expecting it to do this well. I'm wondering if the DirectX 12 API has anything to do with the fact that it's doing so well. One thing to note is that the low preset pretty much tries to set a target render resolution of 70%, which is the lowest that the game actually will let you go down to. And if we actually set it to that with the performance preset, we're getting some high refresh rate gaming going on here, where our 1% lows are at 80 and our averages are at 100, which means that if we had this hooked up to a high refresh rate monitor, we could actually fully utilize that and have a really great time. So that is an option here, and I'm really glad to see that, because dropping down to just 70% resolution is not a significant drop, especially if we're seeing this much of an uplift. And the benefit here is that you get the option of either going like this to get more performance or be happy with 60 FPS if you just stay at the full 1080p resolution. So the fact that we have that flexibility is really nice. But anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.